Hutchinson came off for Detroit. Press set it down for Philadelphia. Another pass, separation, and A.J. Brown just rescued that low throw for a first down inside the 30 of Detroit. Hurts, slant, Brown, first down, and it's first and goal at the 5. Hurts keeps it. Hurts runs it in for the touchdown. Picking up right where he left off a year ago. Under pressure, Goff hit as he throws. It was deflected by Kaiser White, and James Bradbury has his first Philadelphia pick, and it's a pick 6. Good protection for Jalen Hurts, who takes a shot, and he's got A.J. Brown inside the 10, inside the 5. He beats Will Harris. Off the fake, he's got Zach Pascal, the former Indianapolis Colt who was with Nick Sirianni in Indianapolis. Quarterback sneak, Jalen Hurts trying to go over the top. And
welcome to the post-game show.
What is going on, everybody? The Philadelphia Eagles are 1-0. They defeated the Detroit Lions today. It was cool. We all enjoyed it. It was a lot closer of a game than it should have been. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk about things that we liked, things that we didn't like. And, yeah, Johnny, initial takeaways from the Eagles opening week game.
So you're going into, the opposition in Detroit. Detroit, they sold the game out. They were hyped. You knew they were going to be ready. It's tough. The offense did score 38 points without Devontae Smith or Quez Watkins having a catch or a yard. There are positives. There are some things, they have to work on. And again, it's week 1. So they came out of Detroit. They came out of an away game. They're 1-0. So, for me, it's just my biggest concern, and I want to hear your concern. My biggest concern is the pass rush. Now, I know the Lions, they were missing Vaitai, and Ragnow did play. They still have a very good offensive line. They put a lot of resources into their offensive line. With Jonah Jackson, who was a Pro Bowler, you have Taylor Decker, you have Penei Sewell, but just not getting enough push, not getting enough pressure. And again, could it be from the defense playing off? That again, you have a third down and you're playing 5-6 yards off covers instead of playing up on the guy to give your defensive line that extra second or two to get to the quarterback. I think there's a lot of things that have to be changed up going into this next Monday's game against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and Mike's chiming in here saying, week 1 win, I won't panic yet, but 100%, Johnny, where was the pressure on Goff? Especially because, I have Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins on a lot of my fantasy teams, so I watch this Vikings game very closely. They can't win with the same effort they put out today. They just can't. The Vikings have way too many weapons. Point blank period. I'm not even including that, Jalen Reagor is one of them because he's not. I have a lot of thoughts about today's game. Number one, I don't remember if you recall me saying this past week that my concern was that the Eagles were going to start very slow due to the fact they didn't play their starters the entire preseason. The Eagles started very slow because they didn't play their starters the entire preseason. The defense got blown off the ball the entire first drive, and then they woke up a little bit. The offense looked lost in the sauce, completely lost in the sauce. They had no clue what they were doing. We were talking stupid penalties over and over again. So my first concern was that they didn't play their starters at all during the preseason, and therefore they would be rusty. It's exactly what happened. I was also concerned that this team would be fatigued by the middle of the third quarter into the fourth. This Eagles team was fatigued third quarter into the fourth. There is no way that the Detroit Lions should be hanging 34 points on this revamped defense. There is no way that this Philadelphia Eagles team on paper should be in a close game like that against the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions did not get noticeably better. They just didn't.
I'm going to
They
disagree
added
with you.
pieces. They added pieces and they got healthy. Fine. But they are still not a good football team.
I'm going to disagree with you because I think the Detroit Lions are a better football team. And on our weekly report show, Dave Burkett did say that. He had them at 8 to 9 wins. And for me, it's just I think they are a better football team. I didn't
Better
watch
than
any,
what, Johnny?
Now, listen, I didn't watch any of Hard Knocks, so I'm not even going off of watching that.
Sure.
This is just me going off of what I saw on the field. I think they are a better football team, but you can't. Like you're right though in the fact that you can't let them put 35 points on you. You have to be able to stop drives. It's just the other thing is they had basically 6 new starters on defense. It's a familiarity type of thing that they're going to have to get, knowing who's good at what angles, what person's good. CJ Gardner-Johnson came in late. Marcus Epps starting for the first time, playing as many meaningful snaps than he usually does. Brandon Graham's coming off an injury. You have Hassan Reddick. You have Kaiser White. Jordan Davis is being sprinkled in there. It's just there's a lot that has to be worked out. And
I would like to say something controversial here.
Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
James Bradbury did not have a good game. All right, so here's the interception was lovely. Kaiser White tipped it into Bradbury's hand. Bradbury had a game. Kaiser White had a great game. I'm not ragging on him. James Bradbury, first drive of the game, got caught completely flat-footed and missed an open tackle. Bradbury missed tackles and misread coverage the entire game. Bradbury struggled. Now, he's going to go down as, the hero of the defense today because he had the interception return for the touchdown. But again, he did not have a good game. He did not have a good game.
So, everyone has bad games. Just look at Thursday night. The so-called best corner in the league gave up a perfect passer rating. So, yes, it does happen. He did have a turnover, and that's a big thing. The other thing, remember, is Darius Slay dropped an interception when Detroit was driving. Missed opportunities there. Getting more turnovers is going to be big for them. Getting to the quarterback, getting sacks. It's just my question with it is, why is Hassan Reddick? I know they want to drop him in coverage here and there, but Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick dropping into coverage does you no good. Nope. They are there to rush the passer. They are there to get.
Hassan Reddick was an absolute ghost today.
So,
I don't know. I'd be curious to look at his stats and all because I didn't look at the post game stats. But I feel like he had Ryan Kerrigan type numbers today.
Hassan Reddick had 1 tackle.
Ryan Kerrigan type numbers, slightly better than Ryan Kerrigan.
Well, hey, hold on. He had 1 tackle and 1 assisted tackle, so 2 total tackles.
All right, so 200% better than Ryan Kerrigan. Got it. But that's not. He needed to play more. The fact that Fletcher Cox had to play DN for a couple plays, Hassan Reddick should have dropped down into that DN spot when Barnett went out. Let's talk positives. Let's talk positives.
I was just about to say I want to bring up some positives because one positive that I loved, and I'm texting with our co-host Mike Bauer during the game, Miles Sanders. I loved what I saw from Miles Sanders. I loved what I saw from Miles Sanders because that burst, that quickness, and I don't put too much into Jalen Hurts and the throwing aspect and stuff like that. And I think he did run a little bit too much. I think maybe 8 carries to me would be absolute max, not what they had him do today.
17 carries.
People want to look at 18 for 32, just over 50%. It's a little over 50%. But again, look at the other quarterbacks. I mentioned to you, I said Joe Burrow. You looked at Aaron Rodgers struggled today. Mm-hmm. There's a couple quarterbacks that had their tough times today and everything. But, the positive notes of it is they led down the field. They scored 38 points without Devontae Smith or Chris Watkins having any yards. And A.J. Brown, This is the best receiver that they've had since T.O. The type of catches, what he was doing in traffic, it's lovely to see, and we've wanted a receiver like this.
Well, we need it. We needed a receiver like this. Here's what I'm going to say. Jalen Hurts did a good job today once he settled in. You could tell early on he was shaky because, again, he didn't have the reps in the preseason. I cannot stress that enough. He didn't. Next offseason, they've got to change the way they do things. That's it. This cannot be the joint practices. You cannot start the season this shaky. Joe Burrow didn't play this preseason, looks like crap. You cannot do this. But I digress. Jalen Hurts, once he settled in, looked great. My bigger problem right now is Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen's offensive game plan. Because if that's what they plan on doing this entire season, it is not a sustainable offense to run. It is not sustainable that Jalen Hurts is 92% of your offense or whatever it is. 32 dropbacks where he actually threw the ball, 17 carries. I mean, he got sacked once and took numerous hits, including a hit that got a player ejected from the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You cannot. This is not. So I compared it when I was at my in-laws. I compared it to the offense that the Ravens run with Lamar Jackson, right? When you talk about the Ravens, they are Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and the Ravens. So you expect Lamar Jackson to take those hits and run the ball and be 90% of your offense. And if they don't re-sign him this offseason, they are going to have to completely start from scratch. The Eagles are not that. They have A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith. They have Quez Watkins. They have Zach Pascal. They have Dallas Goedert. They have Miles Sanders. They have Boston Scott. They have Kenny Gainwell. They have all of these weapons. It cannot be the Jalen Hurts show 90% of the time.
And you can use Jalen Hurts as, if they're playing close and cover, use him as a decoy type, being able to run, being able to show the defense, hey, you're going to have to account for me too, to be able to open other things up. But the other thing and Matt brings it up here, is it's the penalties.
Yep.
10 penalties. You got to be, and I know you're on the road, first game of the year. You have to work the penalties. The penalties have to stop. Now, again, remember last year, early in the season,
penalties heavy.
They were, on pace to have one of the worst penalties, and then they kind of cleaned that up. So that's one big thing. And if, just going over quick, the game stats here, 455 total yards.
Right. That's great.
239 passing, 216 rushing, 6.3 yards per play, 27 first downs, 10 of 17 third down, 2 of 3 fourth down, especially that last quarterback sneak, which was pretty gutsy to call there. 72 total plays, 3 punts, but again, there's the 10 penalties were big, and the time of possession, they only took that by just a little over 3 minutes. So the Lions came to play. You knew the Lions. This was kind of like their Super Bowl, I guess you could say, but it was just they were here, with all the hard knocks and everything, and all the juiced up, everything like that. You knew they were going to come out firing, but Eagles were able to hold them off. That is a positive. They are 1-0 going into next Monday, but there's a lot of things they're going to have to work on, and I'm sure the coaching staff is definitely going to be in there to get all that situated and settled up.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the defense. So, I mean, the offense, anytime that you put up 38 points? They put up 38 points, right?
Yeah, 38.
Anytime the offense puts up 38 points, they've done their job. They should win the game. The defense, having all the new pieces that they did. Remember, every excuse that we made for Jonathan Gannon was he didn't have the personnel that he wanted. And he interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs this past offseason and didn't get them. And he comes back and we give him all the toys that he wants. And his defense looks exactly the same. The first drive of the game was an abomination. Every single time that there was a long drive, I think the Lions had, 4 drives that were 9 plays or more. They couldn't get off the field. They could not get off the field. And part of that is him not blitzing, because the first drive of the game, he did not blitz at all. It was missed tackles. It was getting blown off the ball on the line. And and it was a couple of defensive players making outstanding. Kaiser White played great. Marcus Epps played great. TJ Edwards played great. Darius Slay did his normal job where he shuts down a side of the field. But you're looking at, Jared Goff was 1 for 6 at one point, or he was 3 of 10 for 6 yards at one point. Finishes with 215 yards passing. We give up 144 yards rushing to DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams adds more yards. Amon-Ra St. What dude did great for me in fantasy. But this team outkicked its coverage 100%. This Lions team played up to the level of their opponent. They played up to the level of their opponent. And Jonathan Gannon has got to be better.
You gotta.
If he's not, he's the weak point of this team right now.
Again, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to, you have to know what you need to do and work better, and to be able to be a more consistent defense, because that's what they need, consistency. And, Peanut says it great here. They put up the points. The offense did its job. The defense wasn't as consistent as it should have been. Yes, they had the pick six, but they had to be more, especially towards the end of that game. When you're up at one point, I believe, was it 38-14 or 31-14? At one point, you're up big. You have to be able to kind of close it and not let them get themselves back in the game. But I don't know. To me, I think you have to be able to blitz. You have to be able to be more aggressive, because you have the pieces to be aggressive. This isn't last year's defense. This isn't the defense that, has a lot of question marks in terms of skill set, in terms of athleticism. You have guys that can do a number of things, that can play multiple positions. And I feel like that's something that they need to be able to use these guys at their strengths. And again, Jonathan Gannon has said, my defense is schemeless, or whatever, however he wanted to say it.
Yeah, but it can't be schemeless. It cannot be schemeless. It's got to have a base. It's got to have a base that they can then operate from that starting spot. By saying we're this schemeless thing, a lot of times football is, you can't think about it. You just have to know instinctively what to do. And by saying, well, sometimes we're this and sometimes we're that, you remove that layer of not having to think, and it causes problems.
Yeah.
It causes problems. And yes, Brendan, you're exactly right. The defense technically did win that game purely based on the pick six. If that doesn't happen, the Lions win. 100%. The defense made a great play in that situation. I'm not knocking Kaiser White. I'm not knocking Bradbury for the return. They made a great play in that situation. However, one play does not negate a bad game plan.
Yeah. You just have to be better. You have to be able to know, and again, next Monday, you're coming at home, and, you got the Vikings. So it's just, they got to be able to get, exactly what Matt says. They adjusted correctly for 3 drives. They went back through all the way. They have to be able to stay consistent into being the team that we hope for. You're looking at the players they added, everybody that they have on the team. It's just, I'm hoping they kind of, get things a little bit less stressful. I guess this first week, we didn't want it to be as kind of nail biting, but again, you do see it from time to time. Teams that you really don't expect to win come back and win, or teams tie, like the Colts and Texans. You have the Bears beating the 49ers. So you have the Vikings kind of dismantling the Packers. Things happen. The Giants winning. So things happen. It is only week 1, but for me, I have A.J. Brown as my player of the game just because of what he did. 10 catches, 155 yards. He did so much. You can give it to Jalen Hurts too, but just for what he did.
All A.J. Brown needed for Phil was a touchdown. And I agree. That's all he needed was a touchdown.
Unfortunately, maybe next week. But yeah. Great thing here.
I tried putting it up. Our kicker, he didn't have to do much. But talk about the story of the league right now. Kickers.
A lot of missed kicks. And it's going to hurt you in games. It's evident. Look across the league. At least, Jake Elliott, he had a very tough 2020. But Last year, he was a Pro Bowl kicker. He's able to get himself his mind right, everything right, and he's a weapon for you. He's somebody that's becoming reliable and something that we don't have to really worry about that other teams have to.
You know, I think that my big takeaway from this game is they got the job done. The Eagles got the job done when they had to, which is great. They finished strong, but as, you know, Palatero's saying here, you know, Jonathan Gannon has to go. I don't think after 1 week he's got to go, but they've got to adjust. They cannot allow this Vikings team. They cannot come into this Vikings game next week with the exact same game plan. The Vikings have far more weapons than the Lions do. And it will not work. Kirk Cousins will go for an absolute career day if they're just going to play back. A win is a win. Peanut, you're exactly right. A win is a win. But now moving forward, if you are going to be the team that is a legitimate playoff contender, is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which is the step up that we're looking to make. Not just getting to the playoffs like they did last year, but actually competing in the playoffs because the NFC is wide open. Yeah. Then you have to see what you did wrong, really get into the film room and fix it. Gannon's got to be more aggressive. The players have got to get there. I love seeing the fire from Zach Pascal when his quarterback got hit. I love seeing the fire from Fletcher Cox when he pushed Jared Goff and Jared Goff got in his face. I'm like, this kid's going to die. Jared Goff is going to die. But then I needed to be physical and aggressive and blitzing, and we cannot, you know, fall for first moves like Bradbury did on that first route. That they have to be fundamentally sound in a set scheme and build from there.
Yep. It's going to be a tough game next week. The Minnesota Vikings aren't the Detroit Lions, but again, you're going to be at home in front of a raucous Lincoln Financial Field crowd. So, just build off of that, and it's going to be tough. But again, that's what football is every week. No win is easy.
No, it's not. But I will tell you what is easy because we are down to the final day. Please, if you are going to come with us and hang out at FedEx Field, you need to get your tickets. The deadline is tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, Washington put up some good numbers today. So that's going to be fun if you turn on Sports Talk Radio this week, the Carson versus Jalen Wentz versus Jalen Hurts conversation, because Carson Wentz, threw a couple touchdowns against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Woohoo. But get your tickets. Click on AAT Birds. We have one more day to sign up. We're going to have a great time in Washington. Yes, and also, Rager is 100% the MVP. You called it.
Also, the Monday night Minnesota game, Peanut did mention in the comments that Birds Beers NBS will be there. So I believe Jeff and Peanut will be there. So I'm hoping they get some video of maybe of Peanut drinking and Jeff talking or whatever. I'd love to get some video of that to put that on the YouTube channel as well. Get their hopefully highlights of the night.
Please be highlights.
Yeah, just as long as their car doesn't get engulfed in flames. As I don't know if you saw the guy that left the grill on and engulfed like 4 or 5 different cars.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. So again, make sure you are liking, subscribing, sharing, signing up. We've got all kinds of great sponsors in the bio of the show. This has been the post-game show. Eagles 1-0 after sneaking out of Detroit with a victory, but a win is a win is a win, and we undefeated, baby, going on to week 2. I am Chip at Chip for the Birds. That's Johnny at JohnnyU9322. Every show we say it, go Birds.
Birds.